What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and technically doing a Traptrix deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an amazing control deck that can easily control the board with all of your awesome trap hole trap cards. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Marmelio. Marmelio is one of the best normal summons in the entire deck, with the ability that if this card is normal summoned out to your side of the field, you can actually add a whole normal trap card from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to instantly get to your copy of Holotea so that you can basically go full combo. This card also has the ability, if this card is special summon, you get to target a spell or trap card that your opponent controls and destroy it, which is a really powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Mantis. Mantis is one of the best normal summons in the deck besides your copy of Marmelio, with this card having the effect that when this card is normal summon, you can actually add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability to instantly grab the exact card you need from your deck. This card also has the ability once per turn, a quick effect, you can actually target a set spell or trap card you control and return that target back to the hand. Then you can set a spell or trap from your hand, which is a great effect if your opponent's actually targeting one of your spells and trap cards. You can basically bounce it back to your hand and then instantly set it back to your side of the field, which is a great effect. We then play 3 copies of Pudica. Pudica is really good because this card actually searches our copy of Traptrix Garden, which gives us an additional normal summon, which is awesome. This card also has a really cool effect that if this card is special summon, you can actually target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and banish it. Also, during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters, which is a great effect to help you get a monster out of the way so you can go in for game. We then play 2 copies of Dionia. This card is really cool as a 2-of build because this card has a great effect that when this card is normal summon, you can actually target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon that target in defense position, getting an additional monster out on your side of the field so we can make a rank 4 play. This card also has the ability when this card is special summon, you can actually target a whole normal trap card in the graveyard and set that target, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn if it's still on the field, which is a very interesting ability to actually help you recycle your trap hole cards to be able to control the board. We then play 2 copies of Arachnacampa. Arachnacampa is definitely a 2-of in the build and just a really cool 2-of extender in the deck that has a really interesting ability. If you control a Traptrix monster, quick effect, you can actually special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extract for the rest turn except insect or plant monsters, meaning this is one of the only cards in the entire deck that locks you out of using the extract besides using insect or plant monsters, which is a really cool ability to get this card out on your side of the field, but you do have to watch out for the restriction on this card's ability. We then play a single copy of Vesiculo. Vesiculo is a really good card in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card in the build, and it's a really interesting effect that basically you can send a set trap card you control to the graveyard to special summon this card from the hand, and if you control no cards in your spell and trap card zone, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target a whole normal trap card in the grave and set it to your side of the field, which is an awesome ability to instantly get one of the whole normal traps on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Parallel XZ. Parallel XZ is just really good in the deck because one of the most powerful cards in our entire extract is actually a Link 1 monster, and this card has a crazy powerful effect that if you Link summon, you can actually special summon this card from your hand to your zone a Link monster points to, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually special summon an additional copy of Parallel XZ from the deck, and then you make them both level 4 and half their attack and defense points, which is a great ability to get you 2 monsters out on your side of the field, so you can make a rank 4 play. But we're usually summoning this card under our copy of Sarah, because Sarah actually points down, which is a really cool effect. So normal summoning out any Traptrix monster to your side of the field can then turn into a copy of Sarah, and if you have Parallel XZ on your side of the field, you get 2 level 4s on your side of the field, so you can make a copy of Rafflesia or any of your other XZ monsters that you need. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of build to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then also play 3 copies of Shifter. Shifter is just really good against a lot of rogue decks, and it's a crazy card this format to be able to use, and it's a really awesome card in this deck because this deck doesn't really worry that much about the graveyard, because you can actually just play this deck as basically a trap control deck while you're under Shifter, which is insane to be able to do. But if you don't want to play Shifter, you can change it out for Droll and Lockbird for another card, but I really like Shifter in this build to basically just lock down the graveyard so everything's getting banished, and this card just wins games automatically depending on what deck you're playing against. We then play 2 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is really good as a 2-0 in the build and helps out a lot in this deck to break your opponent's board, because you can basically just destroy your opponent's monsters or just tribute those monsters on the field, which is really good to be able to do under Shifter because it'll actually banish them, which is insane to be able to do. But this card is a great board breaker to basically just tribute your opponent's monsters. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is great in this build to help us just dig into the deck for the exact card that we need. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great in this build as one of to basically just use this card to stop our opponent's hand traps when we're going in for all of our plays. We then also play a single copy of Traptrix Garden. This card is searchable off our copy of Pudica, which is great because when you normal summon out Pudica, you can actually search this card from your deck to your hand, and during the main phase, you can actually normal summon a Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summoner set. And also this card has the ability that the first time each insect or plant monster control would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed, and you can banish a monster that you control to special summon a Traptrix monster from your hand or your graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use, especially with the different Traptrix monsters having effects when they're special summoned. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is one of the most powerful traps in the entire deck, with the ability that when a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned this turn activates its effect, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card, which is an insane effect to be able to use in this deck. We then play a single copy of Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is great as a 1-of in the build and just helps out a lot overall in this deck, because if your opponent has special summoned a monster this turn, you can actually target a monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack points and destroy it. Then if you have a whole normal trap card in the graveyard, you can actually banish a monster from your opponent's graveyard, which is a really good effect in this deck. We then play a single copy of Floodgate Trap Hole. Floodgate is really good as a 1-of in the build to basically just use this card to flip your opponent's monsters face down when they're summoned, and it helps out a lot in this build. We then play a single copy of Grave Trap Hole. Grave Trap Hole is great in this deck as a 1-of, and it's just a really good option in the deck that kind of functions like Called by the Grave, that when your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or their graveyard, or when your opponent banish monster effect is activated, you negate the effect and if you do like 2,000 points of damage to your opponent. So basically you can stop hand traps when your opponent activates cards in their hand, which is insane to be able to do. But this card is really good in the deck, so that 2,000 points of burn damage can win you games in time, which is actually insane. We then play 3 copies of Holatea. Holatea is an awesome trap monster that has a really cool ability, and you can activate this card the same turn it was set by discarding a normal trap card, and then you special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster that's a plant earth level 4, 400 attack, and 2400 defense, and it is not treated as a trap card. And also banish this card in the graveyard and then target a Traptrix monster in the graveyard and special summon it, which is an awesome effect to instantly use this card to be able to bring back one of your Traptrix. But the main reason we use this card is because it does summon itself as a level 4 monster, so we can actually go into rank 4 plays. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really good as a 3-of in the build to basically just stop the opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. We then also play 3 copies of Evenly Match. Evenly Match is really good in this deck to be able to use, just to help us break our opponent's board, just like our copies of Nibiru, and it's just a great card in this build to just break the opponent's board. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Traptrix Sarah. Sarah is definitely a 3-out in the build, one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck that you always want to end on. This card is an awesome Link 1 monster that just requires a Traptrix monster to make this card, and also this card has some insane abilities that this Link summon card is unaffected by trap effects, and you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn, and it has the ability that if a normal trap card is activated, you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than the monsters that you control, and if your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can actually set a whole normal trap card directly from your deck, completely setting you up so you can basically, if you activate one of your whole trap cards, you get a Traptrix monster, and if you activate one of your Traptrix monsters effect, you get a whole trap card, which is awesome in this deck, and generates a lot of card advantage in this build. And then a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight's just a really good option that can be a double interruption in this deck, but this card is actually insane in this build. We might have a single copy of Adipus. Adipus is really good in the build to basically help you go in for game, as this card has a great ability. This Link Summon card is unaffected by trap effects, and all of your Traptrix monsters that you control gain 8,000 attack points while you have a normal trap card in your graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use to basically boost up your Traptrix monsters so you can go in for game. This card is awesome in the build and also lets you target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect and plant monsters that you control and negate their effects until the end of the turn. Then you can apply this effect to banish a normal trap card from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy one of those targeted cards, face-up cards, which is a really cool effect. We then play 2 copies of Pangicula. Pangicula is one of my favorite cards in this deck, because this card actually helps us search our copies of our Traptrix monsters from our deck to our hand, as when this card has a material, it is unaffected by trap effects and also the activated effects of other monsters with the same type as the cards that this card has a material, and you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn. But you can actually detach a material from this card to add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, and if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can actually attach one of those monsters card as a material, which is an insane effect. So basically takes your opponent's monster out of play and basically attaches it as a material under your copy of Pangicula, which is an extremely powerful effect. We then play a single copy of Rafflesia. Rafflesia is really good in this deck as a 1/0 to basically just copy the effects of your trap hole cards, because if one of them meets its activation requirements, you can actually use it with your copy of Rafflesia, which is insane to be able to do by using it directly from your deck because of Rafflesia's ability. We then play a single copy of Alamirez. Alamirez is great in the deck as a 1/0 to be able to use, because this card just helps out a lot in the build to be able to just use its insane effects. Because this card is built, you can actually detach 2 materials on this card to special summon 1 level 4 insect or plant monster from your graveyard, which is a really cool ability. We then made a single copy of Time Thief Redoer. Redoer is actually one of the main boss monsters of the deck, because you can easily make this card with a trap card under it, so you actually get its place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck effect, which is actually insane, and this card is just really good in the build. We then made a single copy of Baguska. Baguska is great in the build as a 1/0 to be able to use just to help you slow down the game, and it's great to use going first just in case you need it. And then a single copy of Dweller. Dweller is great in this build just to basically help you control the graveyard. And then a single copy of Gaga Cowboy for time. Cowboy for time is really good in this deck. Basically just do 800 points of burn damage to your opponent just in case you need to in this build. With my single copy of Zeus. Zeus is great in this deck to help you board wipe the field. And then finally playing a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is great in just about every single deck, and it's really good in this particular build, just in case we do have to go second, so we can use it as a balance and a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Traptrix deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's an extremely powerful deck, and it's just really fun to be able to play to control the board with all of your awesome trap hole cards. It's also very interesting to just make your copy of Sarah and be able to drop something like a copy of Shifter on your side of the field, so you can easily control the graveyard and the field, which is crazy powerful. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.